Gen 2s have been out for less than a year. This is the new 90 millimeter Gen 2. It's brand new. Lots of stuff that's changed with the 90 mil plate. This is pretty common. This is the common Fox body 90 millimeter flange pattern. You'll find it on like Skunk 2's Ultra Race, on a lot of sheet metal intakes, etc. So I'm going to go over this. I'm going to go over the meth attachments and how that works, and also the methanol nozzle that can be installed here optionally. So these are the things I'm going to go over today. Just the 90 mil plate, the multi-pattern K-series plate, and then the two DBHFJ plates, Gen 2. So these are, there's just two different sizes for the smaller throttle body bore 68 to 70, and the larger 74 to 76. So first, in its most basic form, it's just a plate with multiple holes here so that you can inject nitrous, either dry or wet, and optionally add methanol. It's a clean way to do it without a permanent installation. So it means it's reversible, and it means that you can do it without welding. So a lot of the garage guys don't have access to all this stuff, but they still want a clean install, and so that's what the spray plates allow you to do. So yeah, we'll go over the K-series here in a second and all the different throttle bodies and options that this will fit and what it won't fit. But first I want to talk about the 90 mil plate a little bit more. So the 90 mil plate is kind of the bad dog. It's a 90 millimeter bore. It has provisions for 2 wet stages, and you could use this for 4 dry stages if you wanted to get wild. I mean, that's overly complex in my opinion, but it would allow that. This is the first plate that doesn't have to have gaskets. So we have O-rings incorporated in this, and that's nice. So it's real clean. You never have to worry about paper gaskets. The other plates have to use gaskets, and the reason that is there's just not enough room here for an O-ring to seal, and the different this is like an IAC port, for example, idle air control airport, and the hole on the mating side of the throttle body is sometimes larger than what you see here. So if we had an O-ring there, it would possibly not seal. So all the spray plates, with the exception of the 90, use paper gaskets. The 90 uses an O-ring, so that's nice and clean. The idea here is anywhere that you would have a nozzle. So let's say you have a nitrous kit, and you have a single nozzle in your intake tube somewhere. You can just take the lines off, directly connect them here. You insert your jet here, and these are labeled fuel 1, fuel 2, nitrous 1, nitrous 2. So you would just put your jet in here, thread your -3AN hose end on there, and you're in business. The only thing with the 90 mil that you need to be aware of is that because the bore is centered on the 4-bolt pattern, you can orient it in any 90-degree position. That's only a problem if you direct the jet spray directly towards the runner. So it can be the opposite direction or perpendicular to the runner entry and be fine. The only thing that you don't want to do is point it in this direction to where it sprays directly down and biases one cylinder. So other than that, you can orient it any direction you want. So 3 out of 4 options. You can hear, you can be here, here. You just don't want to be here. So, if you had nitrous, you would just stack this in between you'd remove your throttle body, stack this in between your intake manifold and throttle body, and bolt it down. Now we include bolts, so we have these nice blue zinc fasteners that are included, and so you put your throttle body here, bolt this down, and then this would bolt in. So fasteners are included. With the K series, there's multiple different throttle bodies that can be used, whether they're drive-by-wire or cable throttle. So the cable throttle ones, actually depending on the bore size, there's a bunch of different ones. Basically the flange thickness is different, and sometimes they have a recessed hole. So with this skunk throttle, this is a K series, kind of jumping all over the place, so bear with me. The K series, it's a recessed hole, so the fastener head has been turned down to fit in here, and we're going to start including 3 bolt options, 3 different bolt options with the K series plate. So there will be different lengths and head diameters. So we'll give you the best possible opportunity to fit, for it to fit right out of the box, where you don't have to go to the hardware store and try to find fasteners. So we'll talk more about that in a little bit. First off, let's just talk back to basics. So with this plate, if you wanted nitrous, you would just remove this little cap that we include, put your jet in, thread your hose end on, and you're done. Now you're ready to, this is compatible with any nitrous system. So regardless of what it is, this is a standard thread, it's 3AN, and it works with any nitrous setup. So you can add a spray plate to any nitrous kit that you have, and it's just super clean and reversible, etc. Now, if you want to add meth, the way that you do that is, of course, you have your plate. The Gen 2 plates have provisions for meth, so they come with the holes plugged because you don't have to use it. Methanol is entirely optional. This is just a way for you to add nitrous or meth if you want. If you don't use meth, you just leave the holes plugged, you're done. If you don't use nitrous and you only want to use this for meth, then you would just leave these capped and you would install your meth here. And let me show you how that's done. So adding meth to one of these consists of 3 parts. So first you have your spray plate, then you have your meth attachment. So this is just a little meth attachment deal. I'm trying to give you, it's got an O-ring on it there. And then you would thread in, it comes with this as well. And then you would choose your nozzle. So you would need 3 things to use meth with a spray plate. You need a spray plate, you need a meth attachment, and you need to choose your nozzle. These nozzles come in 3 different sizes, 5, 10, and 15 gallon an hour. Believe it's 300, roughly 300, I'm going off of memory here, roughly 300 cc, 600 something cc, and close to 1000 cc is what 5, 10, and 15 equate to. You think in terms of cc and not in gallons per hour. So you have your spray plate. If you wanted to add meth, you would just simply remove the plug, your nozzle threads on the inside. So threads on the inside, and then you put your meth attachment over the top here. And then it comes with countersunk fasteners. So first you want to remove this 8th NPC to number 4 adapter fitting that's included. Pull this on. So that's how that would go. The 90 mil plates and the DBHFJ plates have provisions for 2 nozzles. The base plate has provision for 1 nozzle. There just wasn't room to add a second. So if you wanted to do 2 on this plate, for example, you remove the other plug, select your nozzle, and then they come like this. So it's, when you buy a meth attachment kit, it's a fitting with a plug in one side and a hose attachment on the other. Comes with the O-ring and 2 stainless countersunk fasteners. So then you can attach this. Obviously, on a permanent installation, you would apply thread sealant, something like Honda Bond or Permatex Ultra Gray. So that's how that would be if you wanted to install 2 meth nozzles. So you would have the feed from your meth pump, excuse me, feed from your meth pump would Y and feed into the bottom here, and that's your meth. Now if you wanted to add nitrous, you can do it here. So this is the 90 mil plate. Lots of room for activities and fun on this one. Now, this one is directional in the fact of you want to be able to read the logo while you're looking into the throttle body, because there's some fillets on these little meth protrusions. They're very small, but it's nice and smooth. That way we don't have big abrupt walls for the airflow to run into. And also the the nitrous injection ports are biased towards the rear, towards the intake manifold side. So that's the rundown of the 90 mil plate. This fits. Skunk 2 Ultra Race, Magnus makes an intake. Most sheet metal intakes use this flange, this 90 millimeter flange. So yeah, this is pretty common. So yeah, meth or nitrous, you can do it with this. Now, let's get on to K-Series. So, this is the K-Series multi-pattern plate. It's not intended to be used with adapter plates. While it may bolt on, there may be something that doesn't work with an adapter plate. So, while this has PRB and RBC patterns in it, it's intended to be used for PRB throttle to PRB intake or RBC intake to RBC throttle, and not an adapter. So the other thing is it's 70 to 74 millimeter bore. So what that means is it's 74 millimeter bore at the throttle body side, and it tapers to 70 millimeter by the intake manifold side. And the reason that that's not a problem is because the overall area, even though it shrinks to 70 millimeter, if you had a 74 millimeter throttle, the butterfly itself, the thickness of the blade and the shaft that goes through the center, takes up more space than necking down from 74 to 70. So anyways, this will work with any throttle body that's 70 to 74 millimeter. And I'm going to go over, I've got 3 different throttles here to show you. So this is the same thing where you can optionally use methanol. This one already has a nozzle installed in it. And if you don't want to use it, you just leave the plug that comes with it. If you do want to use it, you just need to choose a nozzle, choose a meth attachment, and bolt it on. and then any methanol or water meth system will work with it. So again, 2 stages of dry or 1 stage of wet nitrous for this plate. And let's talk about the 3 different throttles. So I've got a K-tuned RBC RRC drive-by-wire throttle, and this will work with this plate. You'll notice that the flange thickness is pretty big compared to this Skunk Alpha, which the K-Series multi-pattern plate also works with. So this is the Alpha. It's got a PRB and RBC pattern in it, so it can be, used with either. But the flange thickness is a lot thinner than this K-tune throttle. So for that reason, we're going to include a longer fastener for use with this throttle. Here. And some shorter fasteners for use with a thinner flange. This. And there's even a third fastener that we're going to start including now. So this K-Series plate, because it fits so many things and there's so many different options, we really have to provide a lot of different options for you. Again, the idea is you can get a spray plate, get it out of the box, and have it installed in your car in 15 minutes without having to find different fasteners. Until now, we've only included 1 set of bolts because it's somewhat impossible to set you up with every possible scenario of throttle body and intake. But we're going to do our best. So anyways, this throttle has a recessed hole because it's so large. This bolt hole, for example, gets real close to the outside of where your intake coupler would connect. So you have to use a turned down bolt. So we're going to include turned down fasteners for this as well. So you'll get 3 sets of bolts when you buy a PRB RBC plate pretty soon. We're machining the bolts right now, so that'll be still a little ways out, but we have them here and we're doing that. So K-Series plate, PRB and RBC, don't use it with an adapter plate. It can be used for meth or nitrous or both. If you don't use nitrous and you just want to use it for meth, no problem. These come with caps. If you want to use it just for meth or water meth, if you want to use it just for nitrous and not meth or water meth, then this comes with a plug and you just plug that, and that's all there is to it. So it doesn't have to be both. It doesn't have to have nitrous. It can be just for meth or it can be just for nitrous. One other thing I should mention is because this bore is 70 millimeter on one side and 74 on the other, the gaskets that are included are different bore sizes. So you need to make sure that you match it on the right side. So this is the larger one, which is 74. So this is 74 on the throttle body side, and then this is 70 millimeter on the intake manifold side. So it just goes like that, and it'll work with, like I said, this is straight PRB. This is RBC RRC drive-by wire from K-Tune. It'll work with this. And this is a Skunk. This is the Skunk Alpha throttle. It's got both patterns in it, PRB and RBC. So, and that's what you see behind me here. This is the K-Series multi-pattern plate with a meth attachment on it and a nozzle threaded in. So, I'm pretty stoked about this. I think the methanol stuff has a lot of potential. We really like it on the domestic side of things, and I'd like to see more guys using it in the import street car community. It's octane on demand, so you can still just put pump gas in your tank, and only the methanol will spray when you're above a certain manifold pressure or throttle position or engine RPM or however you set it up with your meth controller. We are working on our own meth controller. It's going to be using a Kaizen relay and a control module, so we'll be able to it's going to be pretty cool. It'll be integrated with K-Pro. We'll have some Honda integrations, and then of course all the standalone ECU integrations as well. So that'll be pretty cool. Keep an eye out for that. Okay, last plate that I want to go over is the DBHFJ plate. And why do we call it that weird name? Because it fits D, B, H, F, and J series, because they all use the same pattern. Now that being said, it's not all F series. It doesn't fit the F22C, but it does fit the F20C in the AP1 S2000, the early J series, and then all the D series, all the B series, all the H series, and all the F series that are like F20B, F22, F23, etc. We've got two different plates here. We've got a 68 to 70, and we've got a 74 to 76. So if you have a throttle body that's 68 to 70 millimeter, then choose your 68 to 70. If your throttle body is 74 or 76 millimeter, then choose the 74 to 76. So again, these ones come with gaskets and fasteners, so you can just pull it out of the box and use it. The DBHFJ plates have two meth attachment ports, so you can use up to two nozzles. So for example, if you had two 15-gallon-an-hour nozzles, that would be like having 2,000 cc injectors as supplemental fuel. So it does two things. If you add a fuel because your fuel pump can't keep up, it will add supplemental fuel so you can make more power without upgrading your entire primary fuel system. And if you are out of octane, like for example you're limited on boost because you're only running pump gas or something, then methanol can be a real game changer for that, because now all of a sudden you've got a bunch of octane. More importantly, and this is something that isn't discussed very often, but this is pretty cool, methanol keeps the intake air charge cool. You hear that stuff all the time. Okay, who cares? Well, here's the difference. While you might make similar power numbers, you'll make more on meth, but it'll be close with methanol injection. On the dyno, you might make similar power numbers, but the car will go faster on meth than it will on race gas. And because the intake air charge is staying cool throughout the pass, a pass, for example, is a lot longer than a dyno pole. So you're generating and building up heat for a longer period of time. That period of time has an impact on the density of the air and thus the power that the engine makes. So methanol injection is really, really neat because you can still just fill your tank up with pump gas. It keeps you from having to build an excessively large fuel system and have some obnoxious, loud fuel pump and large fuel lines and all that. So it's a supplemental fuel. And then the car will go faster and you can just have pump gas in the tank. It's only when you need it, because the methanol is, again, only on when you're in the throttle or above X manifold pressure, or however you set it up. So methanol injection is badass. I'm going to be doing, you can expect KS Tune to be releasing more information and eventually our own methanol injection kit. In the meantime, you can use our plate to inject methanol into the engine, and you can use whatever controller you're already using. It's compatible with any controller. The fitting on the meth attachment is -4. That's pretty standard with all of the meth kits that are available right now, whether it's Alky Control or Devil Zone or Snow or whatever. There's so many of them. So that's pretty standard. Yeah. What else? Now, spray plates, that's just how you get nitrous into the engine. Where do I get my nitrous kit? What nitrous kit do I buy? Well, we've been getting asked this question ever since we released the Gen 1 plates in 2016. And now the Gen 2 it's a whole different animal with the met stuff too. And we are going to be the source for import nitrous. So we've teamed up with Nitrous Outlet. Nitrous Outlet, in my opinion, has the cleanest, best nitrous kits available on the market. They've really thought through so many different things, and I have some cool stuff to show you. So first off, there's 2 kits. So let me get these throttle bodies out of the way. So there's 2 kits. This is the kit that we're going to have tons and tons of stock of because this is going to fit 99% of people's applications. This is the kit for people that want more than 200 horsepower shot of nitrous. This can flow upwards of 4 horsepower. The bottle valve is billet. This is the X series. This is more of a standard bottle. This is the fancy bottle. Now, the bottle isn't the thing that limits how much power a nitrous kit can make. It's the solenoids. It's mostly the solenoids, but this bottle also has a number 6 speed, and this billet bottle valve that is here, it has a gauge port on it, so you can just put a nitrous pressure gauge right into this without any kind of an adapter. This X series just requires a little manifold. So I'll show you that. So this is what we're going to have stock of. This is $505 for a complete kit. Everything that you need. Lines, solenoids, jets, everything. And that can hook directly up to a spray plate. Now, this one also comes with a nozzle in case you wanted to be a peasant and weld a nozzle onto your intake. So X series, I've got tons of these in stock. The billet bottle valve kit we also have in stock, and if you want more than 200 horsepower shot, then you'll need to do this. This kit is $688 currently. This kit's $505, so reasonable difference there in price. To install a pressure gauge, now we also stock all the accessories. We are stocking the purge kits, we're stocking pressure gauges, we're stocking switch panels, and bottle heaters, and I'm going to show you all of that stuff. If you use this kit, you need to have a pressure gauge. This is, I don't know, 65 bucks, I think, maybe 50 bucks, something like that. It includes a little adapter, and then there's a little adapter here that goes on the end of this bottle. This will just thread in line, and then you'd feed that to your solenoid. So we stock these pressure gauges at kstune.com. We stock both nitrous kits also available at kstune.com. Now, what else? Switch panels. This is one of the 2 things that really caught my eye about Nitrous Outlet is they have these beautiful switch panels with some unique options. So these are the 2 switch panels that we're stocking. You can choose to buy these, or you can use whatever. There's switches already included in those nitrous kits. This is just a cleaner way to do it. So switch panel option number 1 is this little 3-button guy. So it's got an arm switch, illuminated, so it'll illuminate and show you when it's armed. It's got a bottle heater switch, and it's got a purge. So this does not come with wiring. It comes with female spades to connect onto the back of these switches, but then it's up to you to wire it. This switch panel is on kstune.com, and of course email us if you have any questions. So this one's pretty nice and clean. The dimensions are on the website as well, and then you just mount this wherever you want to mount this. This is pretty dope. And this one's really cool because it comes with wiring, and all of the wires are labeled. Like if you see here, this says arm switch, and it's labeled all the way down the whole length of the wire. So even after you run this down, you've got all your wires it's actually printed on the jacketing. It's pretty cool. And this is also unique because it's a 52 millimeter gauge pod. So anywhere that you would have a gauge, like you have a pillar pod or under your stereo or wherever, you can have this little switch panel instead, or in place of a gauge. So it'll work with any gauge pod, which is I thought that was pretty unique. Now this has got 4 buttons. The other one only had 3. The only difference, the only addition that this one has that the other one doesn't, is it's got a provision for an opener. So if you want it to be really fancy, you can buy an electric opener, and this will actually open your bottle remotely, which I think is pretty cool. So yeah, arm, heater, just like the other one, purge, and an opener. And again, this comes with wiring. So both of these switch panel options are available at kstune.com. And email us if you have any questions. So I'm trying to go live on both Instagram and YouTube. Let's see if I can see if there's any questions. Bear with me while I try and sort this out. No idea if this is going to refresh or how this is going to show up. Looks like no live information there. I don't know if this works. This probably doesn't work on desktop. Yeah, okay. That's going to be something that I'll work on. Maybe I'll be able to get to specific questions, and we'll have some Q&A or whatever next time. Thanks for joining in. Sorry I couldn't answer any questions. Actually, let me grab my phone. Let's see if we can do this. Hello. So if there are any questions, let me know. And I will do my best to answer them. How to decide to run dry or wet spray. It probably comes down to if your fuel system can support the fuel requirement from your injectors. So if your injectors are maxed out, then you have to do wet. If your fuel pump is maxed out, then you have to do wet. If your engine management won't support or doesn't have a nitrous output, then you have to do wet. So it really comes down to those things. So if you have like a Honda, then nitrous control is integrated, and as long as your injectors aren't maxed out, and as long as your fuel pump can provide the fuel requirement needed, then you can run a dry shot, and then you only inject wet. You'd only inject nitrous, and the injectors would do the fuel side of things. So hope that answers your question. If not, shoot us an email, sales@kaizenspeed.com. The guys will do their best to answer it, and if it's super complicated, then we'll all powwow about it, and we'll get you a good answer. What else? Anything else? Dun, 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 dun. A bunch of waves. Hello. Bunch of people. Questions. Ton of people. Holy cow. Oh, it's just going in a circle. All right, I guess that's it. Thanks for watching. If you have any questions, sales@kaizenspeed.com. And all of the products here are up on the website. So go buy them, and we'll ship them out right now because they're in stock. Thanks, guys. Live off.